Well, okay, so the Democrats, in their wisdom and their big government socialism, have passed in recent weeks a gun control bill, a semiconductor corporate welfare bill, and most recently, their inflation recession bill. Now the question is, will all these bills help the Democrats in the midterms, as some Beltway people are saying? Joining me now to talk about it, Katie Pavlich, townhall.com editor, Fox News contributor, and we welcome back former Governor Mike Huckabee, also a Fox News contributor. Katie Pavlich, you know, I'm reading the Washington Post and the New York Times and Politico and other wags. They're just beside themselves in joy that all these bills are being passed, and this is going to really help Joe Biden get his polls up and win for the Democrats in the midterm elections. Do you see it the same way?
Well, first of all, I'll say the cavalry is still coming, so there's good news on that. When it comes to the pieces of legislation that Democrats have passed unanimously by themselves as a party, rather than working with Republicans in a moderate fashion, I would say they've been very clever in a way. They know that they're going to lose the House most likely, and they could lose the Senate, although it's looking less likely. And the Inflation Reduction Act is what they called it, leading up to the passage of that bill, has now conveniently been renamed in headlines and by the White House as a climate health care bill. So midterm elections are base elections. And so they're trying to satisfy their leftist base to get out and vote, to invigorate them, to energize them, to get out to the polls, which is why they like the issue of abortion. They're pushing the narrative that this Inflation Reduction Act is now a very serious attempt at implementing the Green New Deal. So they're trying to give people a reason to get out and vote. However, that's not going to save them when it comes to Democrats losing their coalition of voters, particularly Hispanic voters in places like Texas, where Republicans have done a ton of outreach, and they've been able to flip congressional districts that have been in Democratic hands for 100 years.
Yes. Well, so Mike Huckabee, welcome back to the show, sir. Mike, you are a literary guy, so you understand that you recall the story of Custer's Last Stand. I sort of wonder whether this isn't Karl Marx's big government socialism's last stand, and they're going to get buried in the midterms anyway. Or maybe I'm just going to be dead wrong.
I think you're dead right, and I don't think there's any way to market what they have done in any way other than when people look at their paychecks, they look at how much it's costing them to live, they're going to realize they've been had. Larry, I'm sure you saw the movie Caddyshack. I mean, it's a 40-year-old movie, but we've all seen it.
Yes, sir.
Let me just say it as gently as I can. What the Democrats are trying to sell, well, let me put it this way. What they're selling isn't the Baby Ruth in the bottom of the pool. It's something else in the bottom of the pool, but they're trying to tell us it's a Baby Ruth candy bar. People aren't that stupid. They do know the difference. And this ain't no Baby Ruth.
Yes. Well, so no Baby Ruth. Katie, you know, the one poll just out, the Economist YouGov poll, 40% polled think this is an inflation increase act, okay, 40%.
Yeah.
And I have to believe also, Katie, and we would discuss this with Senator John Hoeven, who's a very smart guy from an oil state up in North Dakota. This stuff that's in this bill coming out, first of all, we don't even know what it costs because the CBO never even scored it. So it's one of those Nancy Pelosi, you won't know what's in it until the bill passes. The bill's passed, we still don't know what's in it. But they're creating a government bank, Katie, after the great success of the Solyndra experience during the Obama years. And they're also creating $250 billion for the Energy Department, which is 6 times its present budget, all to help, I don't know, I think they helped the Democratic National Committee. I mean, my point is, this is incredible. It's not believable. But again, maybe I'm wrong.
Well, I heard you saying earlier in the show that government banks don't work, and the student loan program is a perfect example of that.
Yes.
You know, the federal government takes over the student loan program, and now they're saying they're going to bail people out for taking on those loans. It's essentially the same problem. But when it comes to this particular bill, you had Joe Manchin admitting today to Fox Business that this does not reduce inflation, when they've been selling this for weeks as a bill that does reduce inflation right away. So I think what Democrats are banking on is is that they got all the goodies they wanted to satisfy the far left going into the midterms, trying to get people to save them at the polls. And they're hoping that by the time the inflation from this bill kicks in and the tax increases on people making less than $400,000 a year will kick in when Republicans are in charge, and then they will blame Republicans for that increase in the cost of living and a smaller paycheck. So Republicans better be ready with their own legislation and governance to combat that.
Yeah, and Mike Huckabee, look, on the other side of the coin, my question to you, as a former successful governor, are the Republicans messaging sufficiently against all this stuff? I mean, we've been saying the last couple nights here, Save America, repeal the bill. This whole thing should be repealed because it's going to be enormously damaging from the standpoint of higher inflation and deeper recession and slaughtering fossil fuels and so forth and so on, creating government banks. We know all about that. But is the GOP doing a good enough job fighting back on the airwaves, Mike Huckabee?
In a word, no. I've always said Republicans aren't real good at bumper strips. We're real good at 300-page policy papers, but nobody reads them. And what we need to do is to ask Americans a simple question. If you're not making $718 more in your paycheck every month than you were before, then you're losing ground, because inflation is eating every American at the cost of $717 per month. So if you're not making more money, you're losing ground. And that's what the Democrats have given to you on a platter. And if it's not food you want to eat, then throw the plate right at the fireplace and tell them you want to have them take it to the kitchen, get a new chef, and that's where the Republicans need to put on the chef's hat and say, we have a better recipe for America.
Katie, give you the last word, last 30 seconds. Food prices in the CPI are still rising in double digits. Grocery prices, kitchen table grocery prices.
Yep.
I'm not hearing Republicans talking about that very much. And that is so essential to this whole story of the economy and the midterm elections.
Yeah, and the food pantries for people who are having a hard time are overwhelmed with people who can't afford to feed their families. You're seeing more people shopping at places like the dollar store for groceries. And so that is something that Republicans could talk about more. And also, there's this idea that the left has gotten away with, particularly Joe Biden, with this big government spending, and saying, well, we're not raising on taxes on anybody making less than $400,000 a year. $716 per month on every person in this country, every family, that's a tax on everybody, and that's something that's not being emphasized enough.
Yeah, agreed. All right, thank you, kids. Katie Pavlich, Mike Huckabee, we appreciate it very, very much.
Hey, Sean Hannity here. Hey, click here to subscribe to Fox News YouTube page and catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis. You will not get it anywhere else.